For much of the 20th century, football, known in the United States as soccer, existed on the cultural margins of American sports life. It was the game immigrants played, the sport suburban kids practiced on weekends, and the competition Americans largely ignored on television screens dominated by the NFL, NBA, MLB, and college football. But that era is over. In today's America, football is no longer foreign. It is no longer peripheral. It is no longer silent itself, politically, culturally, and globally. The rise of football in the United States coincides with a moment of deep national transformation, demographic shifts, generational change, political polarization, and a redefinition of America's place in the world. As the United States prepares to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup, football is evolving into something far more significant than a sport. It is becoming a cultural battleground, a political symbol, and a tool of global influence. Football's growth in the United States did not happen overnight. It was slow, uneven, and often resisted. For decades, American exceptionalism extended into sports. The belief that America's games were superior, self-contained, and culturally distinct. The NFL became a national religion. Baseball was woven into the mythology of democracy. Basketball reflected urban energy and individual brilliance. Football did not fit this narrative. It had no timeouts. No clear American origin story. It belonged to the world, not to the United States, and that alone made it suspicious to many Americans. Yet globalization changed everything. Immigration reshaped American cities. Children of Latin American, African, Asian, and European immigrants brought football with them into schools and neighborhoods. At the same time, suburban America embraced youth soccer as a safe, structured, and inclusive sport. The result was a quiet revolution. Americans grew up playing football, even if they did not yet watch it. By the 2010s, the audience matured. Major League Soccer expanded aggressively. European leagues found massive American audiences through cable television and streaming platforms. The U.S. women's national team became a global icon of excellence, equality, and political voice. The men's team, long a source of frustration, began to reflect the diversity of modern America. Sons of immigrants. Football was no longer an outsider. It was becoming American. Why football matters now, not before. The timing of football's rise is not accidental. America today is deeply divided, politically, culturally, and ideologically. Trust in institutions is declining. National identity is contested. Global leadership is questioned. In such moments, sports often become symbolic spaces where broader conflicts play out. Football is uniquely positioned to fill that role. Unlike traditional American sports, football is global by design. Every match connects the United States to the rest of the world. Every tournament carries geopolitical meaning. Every anthem, flag, and protest is instantly amplified across borders. In a world where America's global image is under constant scrutiny, football becomes a stage on which the country performs itself. Hosting the 2026 World Cup is not just about goals. It is about immigration policy, security, economic power, cultural openness, and political messaging. It is about whether America presents itself as welcoming or hostile, unified or fragmented, confident or defensive. Football matters now because America matters now, differently than before. Sport is soft power. America learns an old lesson for decades. The United States relied on Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and military strength to project influence. Football, by contrast, has always been the soft power weapon of Europe, Latin America, and more recently the Middle East. Now America is learning the same lesson. Soft power is not about dominance, it is about attraction. It is about values, culture, and emotional connection. Football generates all three. When American stadiums fill with global fans in 2026, the message will be clear. The United States is still central to the world's imagination. But that message must be earned, not assumed. In recent years, America's global reputation has fluctuated dramatically. Political instability, social unrest, and polarizing leadership have raised questions abroad. Football offers an opportunity for rebranding, but it also carries risk. A poorly handled tournament could reinforce negative perceptions rather than repair them. Thus, football becomes political not because politicians intervene, but because meaning is unavoidable. The American fan is changing. One of the most misunderstood aspects of football's rise in the United States is the transformation of the American sports fan. Today's football fan in America is younger, more diverse, and more globally connected than fans of traditional leagues. They follow clubs across continents. They engage in online debates about tactics, ownership ethics, and human rights. They see no contradiction in supporting a local MLS team while waking up early to watch the Premier League. This global mindset has political consequences. Football fans are more likely to question FIFA's governance, criticize authoritarian regimes that use sport for image laundering, and support athlete activism. At the same time, they are also exposed to nationalist backlash, accusations that football is un-American, political, or elitist. This tension mirrors broader American culture wars. Football becomes a proxy for debates about globalization versus nationalism, inclusion versus tradition, and progress versus nostalgia. Politics has entered the stadium. Whether fans like it or not, many Americans insist that sports and politics should remain separate. But history tells a different story. From the Olympic boycotts of the Cold War to the civil rights protests of American athletes, sports have always reflected political realities. Football is simply making this relationship more. In recent years, football-related political flashpoints have included debates over national anthems and patriotic rituals, athlete activism on racial justice and human rights, immigration narratives tied to national team identity, media polarization in sports coverage, government involvement in major sporting events. The difference now is scale. Because football is global, every political gesture is magnified. A banner in a stadium can trigger international headlines. A comment by a player can become a diplomatic incident. A hosting decision can spark accusations of corruption or hypocrisy. America is entering this space at full speed. 2026, a turning point in American sports history. The 2026 FIFA World Cup represents the most ambitious sporting event ever hosted by the United States. It will span cities, borders, and cultures. It will bring millions of visitors and billions of dollars. It will test infrastructure, security, but more importantly, it will test America's identity. Can a polarized country present a unified face to the world? Can a nation divided on immigration host the world's most international sport? Can American capitalism coexist with football's global traditions? These questions extend far beyond sport. The World Cup will arrive in the middle of political cycles, social debates, and media wars. Every decision, from visa policies to public messaging, will be interpreted through political lenses. This essay is not about goals, tactics, or rivalries. It is about power, identity, and influence. It is about how football reflects America's evolving relationship with the world, and with itself. It is about why a sport once dismissed now carries such weight in national conversations. And it is about what happens when the world's game collides with the world's most influential democracy. For American audiences, understanding football today is not optional. It is essential.